Hello guys, I hope y'all are doing well. Today I wanted to make a quick video. Well, quick. I try making it quick, but it extends a little bit. But I feel like SAS is a little bit complicated at first, but once you really are able to grasp concepts and definitions and meanings and actually write code in SAS, you will be able to really understand it. So I'll do my best to explain it in the best, simple way. So yeah, so we'll be diving into SAS and what I feel like are the best or most useful things that SAS can bring. So what is SAS? SAS, as you can see here on their official page, is CSS with superpowers. Actually, it's just like CSS but with a cape above it that makes it way better. It still uses the same CSS things. You can copy and paste a file that you have on CSS onto an SCSS file and it will work 100%. It's basically that, CSS with superpowers. I will show you what it has in the next few moments. So the first thing I want to go over is the SAS extensions. Let's first search for the SAS extension here. This one we don't have to get into the settings or anything. This will just highlight things, autocomplete things, and format things for VS Code when it comes to SAS. So we don't have to give much time to this, but the one we need to give time to is Live SAS Compiler. This one is deprecated, so we'll use the new Live SAS Compiler. We'll click it and we'll click install, and then we have it installed. So now that we have it installed, what we want to do is go to manage and settings. Here we want to search for Live SAS Compiler, and there are two settings I want you to look over, or I feel like that they are the most important. The first one is watch on launch. If you are a front-end developer and you intend on using CSS all the time, and by now I hope you just use SAS actually, because I use SAS on every project that requires customizable CSS. For example, if I'm just using Bootstrap or Tailwind, just specifically using them and not having specific styles for the things, I won't use SAS. But for example, if you always want, I don't know, to make something flexbox or change to a specific color that maybe Bootstrap doesn't have and you want to use CSS, I highly suggest you to use SAS. So the first setting is this one, which is Live SAS Compile and watch on launch. You will see that many people don't have this active. What people will do is there is an option right below here which says watch SAS, and I like to use watch on launch due to the fact that I want to work faster. I want to enter my project, and so yeah, when I enter VS Code, I want to code as quickly as possible. I don't want to spend time setting up things and making sure that everything is connected. No, I want to quickly code, you know what I'm saying? So I have this watch on launch true. The next one is, we'll go down and you can see it here. I have it highlighted just because I changed the regular settings. You won't have it highlighted if you have just installed it just now. So, but as soon as you select them or change something on them, you will have them with this little bar here that highlights that there have been changes right there. So we'll go to formats and we'll go to edit.json, and here, as you can see, the main things you want to see are these three things. Format is the way the CSS file will be formatted. I think, yeah, as you can see, style of exported CSS. And there are two options. There is expanded and there is compressed. I use expanded because I compress CSS via PostCSS. I will show you what it does and how to connect it with SAS on a future video. But at the moment, to practice and for you to learn, you can use expanded, which will basically lay out the styles as usual. What compress will do is make everything on one line, basically everything compressed into just one line. But yeah, we'll leave it at expanded extension, then you'll always want to leave it at .css. And here the save path is up to you. I use a lot of React, I use a lot of Beat, I use a lot of Vue. So on those type of projects, there is always an src file which everything goes into. But since we are working with vanilla at the moment, we'll just do styles. So let's delete this src and we'll save it. And there we go. So now that we have this set up, we can close everything. To close everything, you can do Ctrl W. And there we go. We have everything closed. Now we're going to go to the Explorer, and we want to create our first or only actually HTML file. And we'll do the admiration sign and enter. That is with Emmet. Everyone will have it that is using VS Code. So yeah. So here what we want to do is start our server. Of course, as always, I use browser sync. I'll leave you the video I've made on browser sync, which has to do with my extensions and so. But yeah, it will basically help you watch the files, watch the HTML. What I will do is just go to Notion, copy this, open the terminal. You don't have to do this. If you have live server, you can just click live server and then it will open the file. And there we have it. I'll open my index.html and there we have it. We have a server. So now the first thing we want to do when it comes to Sass, and the first thing I want to explain to you is that you can do, for example, you can put any name to your Sass file. I like to use main.scss for the actual main scss file. But as you can see, it is called scss rather than Sass, which is how it is called. Well, the differences are that Sass takes out the curly bracelets and the like closing tag. I don't think it's called a closing tag. Just basically the thing that closes the parameter. And I actually never use .sass. People that use it are a bit crazy in my opinion. Like I do not like at all the .sass, so I'll highly suggest you to do .scss, which is just the regular CSS with Sass implemented. So I will hit enter, and there we have it. As you can see, key things to look at first is that it opened the output on the like console of VS Code, and it says live Sass compile. This is watching. This is because as soon as we create a scss file, it would automatically watch. And as you can see, there is this watch ... meaning that it is watching our Sass file. So any change we make, it will see it. For example, let's say that we want a body which has a background color of red. Let's Control save. And here another key things is that as soon as you save an scss file, it will generate two files. One that is main.css, or the same name of the scss file you created, and another file called main.css.map. And as you can see here, we have it on styles. It created a styles folder and those two things I mentioned. Why this happened? Because if we go back to settings, we go back to live Sass compiler, and we go to formats, we can see that we have it on save path at styles. So this is very important. If you're, for example, using React, you can do just src, which I will change it after I finish this video. This will be just for vanilla type of projects, but I usually have it on src. And what that will do is create a new file or watch for an src file that was already created, and then watch for a style file or already create a new styles file like we saw here, which it created a whole new folder and with the main CSS and the map. So yeah, this is fully customizable. If you want to, I don't know, have the styles on, I don't know, a CSS specific folder, you can do that too. For example, let's say this, and it created a new CSS file with the same, same things, main.css and the main.css.map. But yeah, in my opinion, what I like to do is have it as styles and put the main CSS add styles, but I will create a Sass folder, Sass, and I'll put my main CSS dot here on the Sass file within styles. Because to search for files, what I will do is rather than looking at the files here, searching them, I like to have it very compact, everything very logical. So yeah, what I'll basically do is Control P and search for CSS files, and there I will have it. So yeah, I'll create a new shortcuts video on the future. So yeah, so now we'll want to learn variables. Let's say that, I don't know, I want to save a deep red, for example. Let's do here deep red. So first, to call or to create a variable, you need the $sign on anything you may want. I don't know, we can put a $sign here saying deep green. And to create a variable, many people use it for colors, and that's what I only use it for, which are variables. And there's another good thing, which is that it will detect keywords as green or red or, I don't know, turquoise. Turquoise, is it a color? Yes, it is. For example, let's do red. If I want a very specific color, what I will do is go on Google and search for that specific color, which is deep red. Or if I just want to make something quickly, I'll just, I don't know, hover over this and maybe say, oh, this is a deep red, alright. This one, let's just leave it at that. And there we go, we have it saved. Let's go back to our browser. It does not change the color. Why not? You may have caught up by now, but we are missing our linked file. So what we'll do is do link and we'll reference the main.css. We are not going to reference the main.scss. Why not? And why we are creating a main.css file? This is due to the fact that browsers cannot understand SCSS or Sass. They cannot understand it. That is the reason why we're using Live Sass compiler and all of that. And it is because we want to compile SCSS to CSS, which is understandable for the web browser. So for example, we'll do href, we'll do / styles and main.css. Now we have it connected. Here we'll do save, and for example, now which we have saved this main.scss, we can see the changes on the main.css, and as you can see, it's the same. But here, as you can see, we have a very bright red. It's not exactly the deep red we just changed a second ago. So in order to change something with a variable, you want to call it with the same thing, a $sign. And as you can see, it showed us the suggestion to put deep red. So we'll do deep red, or we can just enter and it will enter it automatically. Let's do Control Save and let's see the change. It changed to a deep red. So perfect. And as you can see, it generated the file, it generated the changes, and as you can see, the background color right here is the same one we declared on the variable. So this is a super important one. For example, let's say deep green, and we'll do green right here just to have this hue, and I don't know, put it like a little bit here, and we'll now do deep green. And now it changed the color based on the variables we just created at the top. Super useful one. The one I used the most actually, which is to set color palettes and make sure that everything matches on a web page. So yeah, this is a super useful one. So now here we're going to learn nesting or nested items, which is to combine items and declare them in a better way. For example, let's say we have this section which has 3 squares, and I don't know, let's say we have this other section which has 3 paragraphs. We'll do Control Save, and let's say for example we want to specifically target the divs within a section. So if we want to do this, we'll first declare the section. We'll open the brackets, and let's say we want a background color just to notice the change. Let's say it has an Alice blue. What we will do on regular CSS is to do section and put div at the side, and then do background color of, I don't know, aqua. And just so you can see, let's do height 150 and width 150 px2. Wow, this looks horrendous. But hey, let me put a margin so that it looks a bit better. 10 px. No, it was margin, not padding. They're separated, and let's remove this background color. So as we can see, we have those 3 squares. This does not looks good actually, to have just this section separated from the section div. So what you can do is remove this section, and since this div is within a section, what you can do is just grab this and move this with Alt or Option arrow up, and now we have it here. This is what is called nesting, which is putting items together. So we'll do Control Save, and it works the same. It works very well, actually. We can do the same with this other section which has paragraphs in it, and as you can see on main CSS, it created a section div, which, well, to put this better, let's put a specific background color. Let's say this is beige. Now after saving it, we have the section which connects to this one and connects to this one, because they are both sections and they are not nested into something specific. So it will be background color beige, and the div will be this specific color. But now on the CSS file, we can see that it created a standalone section and a standalone section div. With SCSS, we were able to put them together and understand that this div that we want to change is within a section. If we were to put div, I don't know, background color, I think this may work. No, it doesn't. So as you can see, let's change this to something like red. So here we have supposedly changed all the divs to have a background color of red, when in reality this doesn't change because section is already targeting the div that has within it. And this is a very basic explanation. Of course, you will always use classes, and make sure you had all of the classes right here on all of the divs. I don't know, let's say for example, let's call all of them square, or squares, better, squares, and say square section, for example, which is a more regular use case. So for example, let's do square section, and then here we'll target the my bad, squares. It will still work, and as you can see, it removed the color from this section, since we are now targeting just the class. And this works with everything. If you want to target the piece of a section, let's do section, and this background color, let's say, has a chocolate color, and we want to target the piece that are within a section. So this one will have, I don't know, color white. And as you can see, it changed just the paragraphs within the section. To make this better, let's put a paragraph outside, and let's say hello. And as you can see here, I'm just targeting the piece that are within a section and not outside the section. So this works extremely well to read code better, to see what things are within other things. You can really be able to target things, nesting them on this way. So it's very useful. I've actually been using it a lot lately. So yeah, this is what nesting is. So now next we're going to style pseudo-classes. Pseudo-classes as active, as hover, and so on. For example, if I wanted to make sure that when I hover over a square, I wanted to change the color to red. I don't know. What we'll usually do on regular CSS is do squares and do hover, and then background color red, the deep red, which is a variable. We'll do Control Save. So as you can see, it works. We're hovering over and the background color works. As you can think, this is not the intended way. So when you want to use pseudo classes, the easiest thing to do is when you are within an element, you can always use the ampersand element, which you can represent it as end or as I. And what you will do is just add this on any element and do the double dots and do hover, for example. And let's say background color red, and let's see if it works. Let's go back to the item here or the website, and we can see that it works. It changes the color well as expected, and yeah, it is working. It is the same. We'll go back to our main CSS and we can see that it is the same that we did, but here is way better to see. It's way more readable because it's just the I hover. You can do the same with, I don't know, I active, which is when something is clicked. Let's do background color green, which is the whole contrast of red. So we'll do Control Save, we'll go back to the browser, and we're still getting the hover effect, but we'll click it and it turned green. Click it and it turned green, click it and it turned green. So you don't have to do the whole squares and then hover and then declare the things. Like you only have to do the ampersand on any item you want. For example, here hover, and we'll set it to background color black, for example. And then as soon as I hover over this section, the header section, it turns black. So yeah, super useful one. So yeah, this next one is a quick one. Share operators. I'm really not going to go over this much because I don't actually use it. I don't think it's good for other people. For example, let's say that these squares will have 350 pixels, and we now see the squares that are bigger than usual. For example, we had it at 150 and they were smaller, but now we have it at 350. You want to take it back down to 150. We'll do the math, which is minus 150 px, and that will like 200 px, and yeah, it is back at the same size. Why this is because you can use plus, you can use minus, you can use plus, and there we go, we have it way bigger than usual. And I think you can divide them. This hasn't never worked for me, but yeah, like it went a bit crazy right there. Yeah, those are basically the operators. If you just want to, I don't know, take 100 pixels from this width, you can do it with Sass, which it will show here. For example, on the SCSS file, it will show 350 minus 100, and on the CSS file, it will print out the equation, which is 250 px total. So yeah, as I've shared with you, I don't use this one at all. I do prefer, and I think it looks better for everyone if they use like the actual numbers. So yeah, but that is something you can do on Sass. So the next one is partials. Partials, what they are is that they allow you to basically piece out and piece together SCSS files. For example, let's say that I want a specific styles file for the header. Let's create a header that contains the squares. Let's do it here. We now have this header. You don't need to do this. You can create any partial you want. But for example, in order to create a partial, you would do new file, and make sure you add an underscore, please. This is to let VS Code and Sass know that this is a partial. If you were to do header.css, it will still work, but it will create a new styles dot like header CSS regular file, which will be a headache to work with. So just have a main CSS file that imports everything and that uses everything, and have the partials just added with an underscore. So now, as you can see, we have it with an underscore. For example, let's say that we want to move this to the header.css, and we'll remove it. And we'll save this, and we will save this. Now that we haven't saved, let's go back to our browser, and the styles doesn't seem to apply. Why is this? It is because we haven't imported nor used the header.css file. So to declare it on this main.css file, you can do import, and you can call it header, and it will automatically detect the header.css without needing to add the underscore, since when you usually use import and use when they are partials, you don't use them on actual main CSS files. So we'll do control click, and then it took us to header.css. So now we'll open the file or the website here, and we can see that all of these styles were applied again. But please don't use import, rather use literally add use, because this is something new that was implemented to SCSS, which makes it better. I think it was for the rendering of the components and the styles and so yeah, rather than using import, this is very old, even though it still works, but rather use add use. And as you can see, it will still work and it will be better. So yeah. So this next one is Mixins. This is quite a complex, but at the same time very easy one to understand, only if you really pay attention to it. For example, let's say that this class, I don't know, I removed all of them to be square, and there will be a square 1, square 2, and then square 3. There we go, control save, and we'll go back to our browser, and we can see that it just doesn't look styled how we had it here. What if let's remove this because this is just clutter. What if I wanted to style them all the same with different class names? Let's do square 1 at the moment, and we have that we now have one square. And here let's copy and paste all of them, which this looks horrendous. Square 1, 2, and 3 with the same values, and as you can see, we now have the 3 squares, but this looks very like repetitive, and this is what Mixins solve. So let's say that we want all the squares to have the same width, the same height, the same margin, and the same background color. What we will do is, I always like to declare everything variable related, mixin related, extend related on the top. So let's do mixin and square. Here we'll do open bracelet or bracket, and we'll put the same properties from the square. Let's do control save, and you may ask, we still have the code here, how can I include this mixin? So what you can do here is literally include mixin. We'll remove all of this, and we'll do at include, and to call the specific mixin that we created, we'll do include the square. And there we go. Here at the moment, it will give you like this thing to put parameters or arguments in. We're going to remove it at the moment, and we'll do control save. And we can see that on this square one, we'll go back to the browser and we have it styled too. So you can do this on every square you have. Do control save, and each one has the same color. That is the magic of Mixins. You can see them as a package of rules. Rules are the height, the width, the margin, the background color that can be repeated on certain classes. So yeah, rather than just copying and pasting everything here and here and here, what you can do is add include and create a mixin for anything you want. Another important thing is that, as you were able to see, as soon as I added include square, it gave us this parameter thing. So what this will do, let's copy onto everything. What this will do is basically act like JavaScript. It will let us pass variables. For example, let's open here as if it was like a function, and let's pass the parameter of, I don't know, background. Let's call the $sign to declare a variable. Let's do BG, and let's do color. So here, what you can do with this variable, you can actually, this aqua, change it to $BG color. Now what you can do, and this is quite powerful, I learned this fairly recent, is that you can declare anything you want on this variable. For example, we want to change the background color, since we have the same variable connected to a background color, to the background color. So we'll do, I don't know, I want this to be red, for example, and I want this to be yellow, and I want this to be, what color? We can green. Now that we have passed on to these variables, we'll do control save. We'll open the browser and we can see that they are different colors. And all of this had to do with just the variable. We are able to change it here. I don't know if you say white, we can change it there. And now this square is white. And so this is extremely powerful if you have a lot of items that have the same classes and more, and maybe you want to change, I don't know, the height, or maybe you want to change the color, like in this example. This works very well for that. Another thing, which is that you can pass more than one variable. Let's say that we want to pass something called height. So now we'll add this height to here, $height. Let's say that, well, to make this look better, let's put this on red, and background color, I want it to be all black, and we'll do control save. Now we see that this is, well, this is actually not working. I don't know why. Oh yeah, I know why. You cannot pass a new parameter without declaring it on the mixins or the includes. So for example, now that we have two parameters, what we want to do is comma, and let's say 150px. This will directly call the variable here called height. So we'll do comma 150 comma 150. I want, for example, the third square to be 350, and I want the second square to be 250. So then I will want to save this and go back to the browser, and as we can see, the height different is quite a lot. We see this one, which is 150, 250, and then 350. And for all of these cosmetic changes, we just made them in 19 lines. In just this little bit of code, we were able to change these three squares from color, height, and yeah. And we didn't have to copy and paste the color and change the height separately. This could be a little bit complicated to understand at first. So what I want you to do is grab the same practice that I'm doing, add 3 divs, put them as class square, and try doing this, replicating this on your own. Once you're able to write this on your own, you are able to understand this and apply it on every project you want. So it is quite useful. So this next one is extend. As you can see, I had set it up here already, which is add extend with the same explanation with the mixins, which were the squares. And here you can see that it works. Maybe you don't understand what I did, but try figuring it out, watching the code. What was the difference from the mixins? The change was that we no longer have variables. As you can see, it is exactly the same to mixins, but the only difference is that we are not able to pass parameters like in this example. So we'll do, for example, I don't know, in order to make an extent, or what extents are, for example, let's say that we have this dot square. We'll remove all of these parameters and let's make it like any other class. So we'll want to remove this, all of the parameters. We don't have any parameters anymore. And height, we'll set it to a regular height like before, and let's set this to green, for example. We'll do control save, and here it is giving us an error. In order to make extend work, we'll do add rather than add include. We'll do add extend, add extend, add extend, add extend. So here it still won't work because we need to add the dot at the start. We'll add the dot, and then it is working correctly. For example, let's remove this so y'all can see that it doesn't work if we don't extend it. We still have the square one, but it won't extend these rules onto the square one until we add extend. As you can see, extend is extremely similar to mixins, but I feel like mixins are way better, are way more declarative. Like, it makes more sense. So yeah, as you can see, extend is very similar to mixins. The only difference that there is between mixins and extends are that you are unable to pass variables. You are unable to, I don't know, do this. As you can see, it is already giving me an error. You cannot do this into BG color because it won't detect it. Only with mixins. For example, let's go back to the example, and there you're only able to declare variables this way. Which, let me put add mixin again, and as you can see, it changed the colors correctly, thanks to the mixin. But if it was for the mixin and we were just using extend, it won't let us pass any parameters, and it will just let us extend on a certain item that we already had. So in my opinion, just skip extends, know them if you ever need to get into somebody else's code and work on it, and then you will understand what extends are. But if possible, just use mixins. They are just better. They're just way better. They let you change different things on certain code. If you want to change the color of a certain item, you don't have to go here and change it here, and it will change it for all the items if you're using extend. So yeah, in my opinion, please use mixins. Skip add extend. Actually, I don't like it at all. But yeah, if you want to learn more from their official page, what they see the difference about mixins or extends, I will leave you this in the description. You will just have to hover down, like go down a bit, and you will find this extends or mixins. In my opinion, I love mixins, so yeah, that's my opinion. So yeah, that was mainly all of the concepts I wanted to show you today on scss to get you up and running with Sass, and that was it mainly. Well, there is something else I wanted to show you with, which is how I use Sass on bigger projects, which is, for example, this is my portfolio. And let's go to, well, what I showed you before about the extensions. Let me close all of this, components, images, styles. So to show you how I use my styles, to show you how I use scss, what I will do is on this React project, I have a styled folder. I will open it, and as you can see here, I have my main.css, the one that I showed you, which is created from scss, and the map, which is created too. But here I have a specifically made scss file, which I will open, and there you can see everything. I have files ranging from projects, ranging from home, ranging from contact, ranging from base, ranging from about, and here on my main CSS I have all of the use or the imports that I showed you on the partials. What this will do is connect to the folders that I have on my Sass file and import everything there. For example, on this one, on this index.scss, as you can see, each folder has an index.scss, which what it will do is this add forward. This add forward, what it will do is grab it and forward those scss files to the folder itself. So when it is called on the main CSS, you could just click it and you can find that it has a forward at home. And then we'll click home, and there we have the styles for the home section of my page. For example, another one, animations. I have everything here. Here I have a little bit of a mixin right here that is, that is connected to animations. So like all of these colors could look a little bit confusing, but you will have to piece them together. We see that we are creating a mixin, which is called socials, which is passing a variable called hover color, because it text shadow 00. Oh, and there we have the color. And we see that we have a transition with 0.5 ease. Here we have just slide top and hover, and seems like we have icons that are Instagram, GitHub, LinkedIn. And what we're basically including is this with a different color. So yeah, that is what I use my scss for. And here I have my color palette, and I have all of these declarative colors, and you can basically really extend upon on what we learned today. You can really have everything organized. So for example, what I will do with the next shortcuts video that I thinking of recording after this one, which is, I don't know, Control P, and let's say I want to change something on my home section. So I'll just do home.scss, and we go right directly to our home.scss, rather than just having the regular CSS file and searching here, I don't know, home. Oh, this is connected to home. There is nothing else called home. I'm quite lost right here. I don't know where is the home section. So yeah, that is another key benefit about the partials on SCSS. So yeah, that was it, guys. I think that this video was a little bit all over the place. I didn't sleep well. That's to say that I didn't sleep at the right time. Not that I have a problem or anything. But yeah, let me know your feedback in the comments. I will try making videos that are more concise, more precise, better to look at, better to understand. And I'm always trying to improve. So thank you, guys. So yeah, I'll see you in the next one, and you can let me know if this was helpful. Thank you, guys, and take care.